Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about another book that's different from the majority of the books in the historical romance genre. We are talking about A Notorious Vow by Joanna Shu. This is my first book by this author, and it had been on my to-be-read list for quite a few months until I finally got to it, and I really enjoyed the book. I gave it 4.5 stars, rounded up to 5 stars actually. It was a very interesting read. Now, this book is about a character who is actually deaf. Oliver lost his hearing at the age of 13 due to scarlet fever. The book actually goes into detail about how it was difficult for him at first, how he didn't want to live, how he was scared of not being able to hear anything, and it also showed how supportive his parents were. What we have today, Oliver is a recluse. He tried to be a part of the society, but they didn't want to accept him because he's deaf, and because of that, he's able to speak actually, but because he can't hear himself, he may sound strange sometimes, and people call him an imbecile. Some people think he's a lunatic. So even though he tried to fit into the society, he wasn't quite successful, so he decided to just keep to himself. And he's actually a scientist. He's working on an invention on, essentially it's a hearing aid for those who are almost deaf. Oliver and Christina meet when she sneaks into his garden, which became a habit of hers, and she gets not really attacked by his dog, but the dog jumps on her and she falls down, loses her consciousness, and she's taken to Oliver's house, and that's how they meet. Now, this story features a forced marriage trope. Christina comes from a very emotionally abusive household. Her parents don't care for her, they only care about money. The book is taking place in America. Christina and her family are from England. They actually ran away from England because of their state of poverty. Her father is an earl, but he gambled all of his money away. So their plan is to marry Christina off to a rich man, and they don't care what their daughter wants. So they jump at an opportunity to marry her off to Oliver, who is one of the richest men in New York. They force Oliver to marry Christina. He actually agrees to it reluctantly because Oliver never plans to marry. He wanted to continue living on his own. But he decides to help Christina because at that point they have become friends. And he makes it very clear to her that that is not going to be a real marriage. They're not going to consummate it. And after 1 year, they're going to divorce and she'll be free to find a normal man. Someone who can give her the life she deserves. Now, that's the big problem in the book, that miscommunication between Oliver and Christina, because they are actually falling in love with each other and they're actually so perfect for each other. However, Oliver thinks Christina wants what most society girls want. She wants a husband to take her shopping, to take her to opera, to theater, to rides in the park. She wants to be out in society, and he's just a recluse and he cannot give her that. So that's why he's pushing her away. While Christina, because he's pushing her away, she feels that he just doesn't love her. She doesn't feel the same about her that she's come to feel about him. And Christina gets some mixed signals from Oliver because at times he cannot stay away. He ends up kissing her, he ends up going out with her, but then he's like, well, this is not going to be a real marriage. So there are some mixed messages which I wasn't a fan of. But if anything, that just made the book only more realistic because Oliver is quite a deep, complex character, which we get to know throughout the book. Oliver has a cousin. Towards the end of the book, through bribery, the cousin succeeds in locking Oliver in an asylum on the basis that he's incompetent, simply because he's deaf. No one listens to Oliver, and he's of course fully competent. And then we watch that struggle as Oliver's lawyer and Christina try to break him free. And of course, this happens right after Oliver and Christina realize their love for each other. They confess to each other, and Oliver made it clear that he's not letting her go anymore. Never mind the divorce after 1 year, forget that, you are mine, I love you, all of that. And then he's locked away in an asylum. We actually get to see a little bit into his treatment in the asylum, which is absolutely horrific. And we see the trouble that Christina and the lawyer go through in order to get Oliver out of there. Christina actually suffers from bad anxiety. She has pretty bad social anxiety, which is why she and Oliver are so perfect for each other, because she's perfectly content staying at home. She doesn't need being out in the society. And a big part of the plot towards the end of the book, in order to get Oliver out of the asylum and prove that he's sane, Christina has to present his invention to the judge and the public. His invention is the hearing aid. And to Christina, it's very difficult when she thinks about having to do that, because she has social anxiety and now she has to present in front of court. But she has to do that in order to save her husband's life, his freedom, in order to get her husband back. So she ends up actually doing that and being successful. At the end, Oliver and Christina are reunited, they are happy together, and they get there happily ever after. This was a very good read. I enjoyed a little bit of a different story, having a deaf character. It was definitely interesting to read. The steam level was good at the book. It was definitely a slow burn romance, but it was well worth the wait. If you haven't read this book yet, I absolutely recommend it. Turns out it's the last book in the 3-book series. I haven't read other books in the series, and they are not necessary to make the most out of this book. But I am now intrigued and looking forward to read more by this author. Have you read the book? What did you think about it? Please share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're also a fan of historical romance, make sure to subscribe and also follow me on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.